I'll give you $1 million if you heal me." Those words, spoken in a voice dripping with desperation, shattered everything Sophia thought she knew about her life. A millionaire, a stranger, offering her a fortune for a gift she feared. What was the price of healing someone? And what was the cost of facing a power that could save a life, but could also destroy her own? Sophia Daniels had always lived in the shadows of her own abilities. A quiet, unassuming woman with a gift she never asked for, a gift that allowed her to heal the sick with nothing but the touch of her hands. It was a power that terrified her, one that she kept hidden from the world. But when a mysterious millionaire called, offering her $1 million in exchange for the one thing she never thought she could give, everything changed. "I'll give you $1 million if you heal me," Richard King said, his voice heavy with the weight of his terminal illness. For the first time, Sophia's fear wasn't just about her power. It was about what it meant to heal someone whose life hung by a thread. Could she really do it? Was she ready to risk it all? In a world where miracles seem impossible, Sophia must decide whether she will embrace her gift and face her darkest fears, or turn her back on the man who believes she is his last hope. What will it take for her to heal not just his body, but her own soul? The choice is hers, and the stakes are higher than ever. Sophia Daniels was never the type to be noticed. Growing up in a small, tight-knit town, she always felt like an invisible thread woven into the fabric of a world that preferred the bold and the brash. A young black woman, her presence was often ignored, her dreams dismissed. But beneath the quiet, unassuming exterior lay a secret, a gift, or rather, a curse. At the age of 14, Sophia discovered that she could heal. She could touch someone's aching body and feel their pain, and in that moment, that pain would fade. It wasn't magic, at least not in the way most people understood it. It was something deeper, something raw. She didn't want it. She didn't ask for it. And yet, it was always there, waiting to be unleashed. For years, she kept it hidden. She'd heal the sick in the shadows, helping the elderly neighbor with her arthritis, or the single mother whose back ached from endless hours of hard work. But with each touch, Sophia's own heart grew heavier. What if it was too much? What if she was wrong to interfere with life's natural course? The more she healed, the more she felt like a stranger to herself. Sophia could have turned her back on this gift, walked away from it, like so many others would. But she didn't. And then one evening, the phone rang. It was a man she'd never met, someone whose name meant nothing to her, Richard King. He claimed to be a millionaire, but his wealth wasn't what caught her attention. It was the desperation in his voice. "I'll give you $1 million if you heal me," Richard said, his voice raw with emotion. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. $1 million? For what? "I'm dying," he continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have a terminal illness. I've tried everything, but nothing works. Please, you're my last hope." She froze. Could this really be happening? Could this man, someone she didn't know, really be asking her to heal him? To do the impossible? The weight of the moment hit her like a wave. She had always been careful, never wanting to be seen as a miracle worker or a healer. What if this time she couldn't save him? What if, for once, she was powerless? The silence between them stretched for what felt like an eternity. Richard's voice broke through it. "Please, Sophia. I believe you can save me. You're my last chance." The clock ticked loudly in her ears. Could she really take on this burden? Could she heal someone who was so far gone? Was she ready for this kind of responsibility? She stared at the phone, the weight of his plea sinking deep into her soul. This was more than just a call for help. It was a moment that could change everything, for better or for worse. The days that followed Richard's phone call were a whirlwind of doubt and turmoil for Sophia. She spent sleepless nights wrestling with herself, her heart tugged by the promise of a life-altering opportunity, her mind weighed down by the fear of failure. The thought of $1 million, of finally having the means to change her life, was tempting, but it wasn't the money that tore at her soul. It was the responsibility that came with it. Sophia had never wanted to be a hero, never asked to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. Yet, here she was, about to be asked to do something she wasn't sure she was ready for. Healing someone was one thing. Healing someone who had reached the edge of death was something entirely different. Richard's voice echoed in her mind. "I'm at the end of my rope, Sophia. Please, I need you." His words were haunting, and they pushed her to the edge. This wasn't just a stranger seeking help. It was a man, a father, a husband clinging to the hope that someone could pull him from the abyss. But deep inside, a storm raged. Could she really heal him? What if she touched him and found nothing but emptiness? What if her gift wasn't enough? Her heart clenched with fear. If she failed, it wouldn't just be the loss of a life. It would be the loss of herself, of everything she had worked to protect. As she thought about Richard, she couldn't help but wonder, why her? Why had he sought her out of all the doctors, all the specialists in the world? Was it her healing touch he believed in, or was it something more? Something she didn't even understand about herself? Her friends, those few people who knew about her gift, tried to comfort her. "You can do this, Sophia," they said. "You've helped so many people before. This is your moment." But even their words felt hollow in the face of the enormity of what she was about to undertake. There was no manual for this kind of healing. No guide to teach her how to mend a broken spirit, a broken body, all while fighting the fear within her that she might not be enough. She looked in the mirror one evening, her reflection a mixture of uncertainty and determination. "I have to try," she whispered to herself. "For him. For me." And so, she packed a bag and set off, determined to face whatever awaited her in that sterile hospital room. With each step, a voice inside her grew louder. "What if I can't do it? What if the man's life slips away because of my fear?" But something else pushed back, louder still. "What if you can? What if you're the one who can make the impossible happen?" Richard's voice came through again, his plea urgent and desperate. "Please, Sophia. Don't let me die." Her heart swelled. She couldn't let fear stop her now. This was her moment to rise above it all, to heal not just Richard, but herself. Sophia stepped into the sterile, white hospital room, her heart pounding in her chest. The walls, cold and indifferent, seemed to close in on her as she saw Richard lying there, pale, weak, barely able to keep his eyes open. The once vibrant man, who had been the picture of success and power, now appeared fragile, a mere shell of himself. The fear inside her grew, threatening to consume her entirely. She stood at the foot of his bed, unsure of what to do next. She had never healed anyone so close to death. She had always been careful, always played it safe, until now. This was her moment. She had to be strong, not just for Richard, but for herself. But the doubt still lingered, gnawing at her. What if it was too late? What if nothing she did could save him? Richard's eyes fluttered open, and for a brief moment, their gazes locked. His tired, pained expression softened when he saw her. "You came," he whispered, his voice barely a breath. "I knew you would." Something inside Sophia shifted. His belief in her, his absolute trust, struck her like a lightning bolt. She realized then that this wasn't just about healing his body. It was about belief. Believing in herself, believing in her gift, and believing that she was meant to do this. "I'm here," she said softly, her voice steadying. "I'll do everything I can." She moved to his side, taking a deep breath. Her hands, which had always trembled with uncertainty, now felt warm, powerful, ready. As she touched his arm, a rush of energy flowed through her, and with it, a sense of clarity that she had never felt before. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of her gift. She wasn't afraid of the potential to fail. All she could feel was the pulse of life beneath her fingertips. She closed her eyes and focused. The pain in Richard's body was overwhelming, but she felt it all, absorbing it, pushing through the walls of doubt that had held her back for so long. With each breath, she focused her energy, channeling everything she had ever feared into a force of healing. For a moment, nothing happened. The room was still, heavy with the weight of silence. Sophia's heart raced as she wondered if she had made a mistake, but then she felt it. A shift. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The warmth of Richard's body grew stronger beneath her hands, the trembling subsided, and the pain that had once radiated through him began to fade. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Could this really be happening? As the seconds stretched into minutes, she felt his body surrender to the healing process. The sickness that had ravaged him, the poison that had threatened to take his life, slowly began to retreat. It was as if he were breathing again for the first time in years. She opened her eyes, and Richard was staring at her with wonder, disbelief in his gaze. You're doing it," he whispered. I feel different. It's gone." Sophia's heart soared. She had done it. She had made a difference. She had stepped into the unknown and found strength she never knew she had. But there was more to this than just healing his body. She had healed something inside herself, too. She had faced the one thing she had always feared, failure, and in doing so, had discovered a power within herself she couldn't ignore. But just as quickly as the hope blossomed, a new wave of uncertainty washed over her. There was still so much more to be done. Richard's healing had just begun, and so had hers. The air in the hospital room grew thick with tension as Sophia watched Richard, his face a mixture of hope and confusion. The moment of peace she had felt earlier seemed fleeting, as if the universe itself was testing her resolve. The energy that had surged through her, filling her with such confidence, now seemed to flicker, like a candle fighting against the wind. Richard's breaths became shallow again, his body trembling as if fighting against an invisible force. The warmth she had felt in him moments ago began to wane. Sophia's heart pounded in her chest, her pulse racing as she tried to steady herself. She couldn't lose him now. Not after everything she had already given, everything she had already felt. Why is it coming back?" Richard gasped, his voice filled with panic. Sophia's hands shook as she reached for him again, this time more urgently. "I don't know," she whispered. "But I will fight for you." Richard's face contorted with pain, and for a moment, Sophia felt a wave of despair. Could she really heal him? Was her gift truly enough to save him, or was she too late? Her mind spiraled with the weight of the decision she had made, to take on this challenge, to step into the unknown. And now, that choice felt like a heavy chain around her neck, pulling her down. She closed her eyes, trying to focus. She could feel the darkness creeping back into the room, the sickness reasserting itself, trying to reclaim him. But then, something shifted in her. A quiet voice within her heart whispered, "You are not alone. You never have been." In that moment, everything became clear. The fear she had been carrying, the fear that had held her back for so long, began to dissolve. She wasn't just healing Richard. She was healing herself. All her doubts, her insecurities, the fear of failure, they no longer mattered. The power she had been afraid of, the gift she had hidden from the world, was not a burden. It was a blessing, and it was time to claim it. She focused every ounce of energy she had left, her hands glowing with warmth, her heart filled with determination. The darkness that had tried to reclaim Richard's life fought back with ferocity, but Sophia's light burned brighter. This was her moment, the culmination of everything she had ever feared, and everything she had ever wanted to be. Richard's body stiffened once again, and for a second, Sophia thought she had failed. But then, his breath steadied. Slowly, his face softened, the tension melting away, replaced with a look of pure relief. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I feel alive again." Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes, but she didn't allow herself to cry. She had done it. She had saved him. But more importantly, she had saved herself from the fear that had kept her hidden for so long. But as she looked at Richard, something in the back of her mind gnawed at her. What came next? She had conquered one battle, but the war against her own fears was just beginning. The hospital room was quiet now. The once intense, frantic energy had been replaced by a peaceful stillness, as though the very air was breathing a sigh of relief. Sophia stood beside Richard's bed, her hands still warm from the healing touch that had restored him. His breathing was steady, his color returning, and the exhaustion that had clung to him seemed to have lifted. Richard, his voice now strong and full of emotion, looked at her with gratitude that spoke volumes. "You've done more than heal my body, Sophia. You've given me back my life." His words hung in the air like a prayer, his eyes reflecting a deep, unspoken appreciation. Sophia could hardly believe it herself. It was as if everything she had feared, every hesitation, every doubt, had been wiped away in that single moment of triumph. She had done it, she had healed a man on the brink of death. But the true miracle wasn't just Richard's recovery. It was what happened within her. The fear that had once paralyzed her, the fear of her own power, was gone. In healing Richard, she had healed the parts of herself she had long buried. The shame, the uncertainty, the doubt, they had all melted away, leaving her with a newfound sense of strength and purpose. She realized then that the gift she had feared for so long wasn't something to hide from, it was something to embrace, to use to bring light to others, just as she had done for Richard. As Richard's family surrounded him, grateful and overjoyed, Sophia quietly stepped back, her heart filled with a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. She didn't need to be praised, didn't need recognition. The quiet satisfaction of knowing she had made a difference was enough. She had given Richard not just a second chance at life, but a reminder that hope, no matter how faint, could always be found in the darkest of places. Sophia walked out of the hospital room, a new person, her heart light. She had taken a risk, a big one, and it had paid off. But the real change, the real growth, had come from within her. She had faced her greatest fears and come out stronger on the other side. As Sophia's journey comes to a close, one thing is clear. The power to change our lives lies within us all. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about trusting ourselves, embracing the gifts we've been given, and daring to step into the unknown. You have the strength to heal, to overcome, and to make a difference, just like Sophia did. If you were inspired by Sophia's story, if you believe in the power of embracing your true potential, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join us as we continue to share stories that inspire, uplift, and remind you that anything is possible when you believe in yourself. Remember, the greatest gift you can give the world is the courage to be your true self. So, take that leap, your story is waiting to unfold. Stay strong, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next one.